Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm looking at this. This is Unfriended from 2014. Now, this is a very interesting film, and I didn't realize when I got it. I picked it up quite cheap. It was only £1. I didn't really know anything about it, but I thought it looked interesting. And indeed, it is interesting. It's very interesting. It's a supernatural horror film, yes, but it is a first because it's filmed entirely on screen. They even say it's created a new subgenre called screen life, which is interesting, but I don't know these labels. But I discovered it is, well, considered a very interesting, important film looking at social media. Oh, yes. Anyhow, let's get down to it. Yes. It's 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, which actually is a bit lower than I thought, because some of the reviews I've read are actually very positive. There are obviously, as you get the negative people no matter what. It's only 83 minutes long as well. And the idea behind it was, well, it was filmed in 16 days. That just tells you quite a bit about it. Also, it was Blumhouse Productions that would take this on. And I like the fact that it's more sort of indie kind of, but this is very innovative. A film really. As well. It cost $1 million to make, which does sound a hell of a lot of money, and I suppose it is, but isn't now. Even then, it wasn't a massive budget, but it made 62.9 million. It was a big box office success. Amazing, and it was heavily promoted online, of course, because of the nature of this film. It was written by Nelson Greaves, and it's very well written. It really is. It captures so much. And it was directed by Leo Gabriazze. Right, I'm not going to keep saying that name too often. He's a Russian actor-director. And this is his big film, if you want to put it like that. The cast, we'll have a look at the cast. Shirley Hennig plays Blair, and she's an actress model. She was in the TV series, quite big, in America, Teen Wolf. But she was involved in the same year in Ouija 2014, which is a horror film that is quite well known. Then we've got Moses Storm, one name, playing Mitch, writer, comedian. I noticed in terms of films, he did do a film called Bad Air, which I quite like the title, in 2020, which is described as a satirical comedy horror. Interesting. There we are. Then we've got Renee Olstead playing Jess. Now, she is an actress singer. She's in a CBS quite big sitcom. I've never heard of it, but apparently it's big. Is Still Standing. And also, she's recorded 4 studio jazz albums. Yeah, jazz. I mean, jazz, that's fantastic. I love it. Also, just another note: when she was younger, she was in Space Cowboys, the film directed by Clint Eastwood, and he's in it, of course, Clint Eastwood, and that was from the year 2000. I just thought I'd let you know that. Then we've got Will Peltz playing Adam. Um, he, when I look at the things, he was in the teen comedy The Outcasts, 2017. I don't know much about that, but that's where he's down. There's a lot of TV work. He was in a TV series called Manifest, which I think did have some popularity. That was in 2021. Then we've got Jacob Wykowski playing Ken. He's a actor, comedian, and from what I can see, it's a lot of American TV work. He's obviously not known here in the UK, but in America, he must be reasonably well known as a TV face. So there we are. Then we've got Courtney Alverson playing Val. Look, she's again a lot of TV roles, but she's in what it looked interesting was this psychological thriller called 1915. Interesting, it looks it from what I've read. So that is the major cast members in it. So what is it about? There I am rambling away, and you're wondering what's all this about then? Well, you've probably got a clue anyhow. The title, Unfriended, we know about what if you're unfriended, we know it like within Facebook and all that. People unfriending people, but what it is, it's a group of friends get together online, like they're like almost like in the chat room. It's like Skype. You recognise that? No, I mean, actually, it even now is beginning to look a bit dated, and I suppose at the time it wasn't. I can see now. It's how things move on so quickly. Anyhow, they're in this chat room, but they become aware that there's another presence in the chat room that they can't get rid of. And it all comes down that they're really a supernatural force is using the account of their dead friend and beginning to terrify them. This is an important part of how the story develops, and it's fascinating. I like the way it's written, the way it all unfolds from this. And so we have got this supernatural element in it, and things start to escalate, and it becomes really tense, and the 83 minutes just sail by. I mean, it starts first 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, you're wondering what's going on, and then suddenly it all starts to get even more intense as it gets going. And wow, it's great. It's a great ride. It is actually better than I expected. I don't know why. I thought it would be interesting, but you know, I think it's so well done. I think that's it. It's really convincing. It's well done, and considering the amount of time they had, 16 days production is fantastic. Wow. I can't just the actors do such a good job. It's so convincing. You almost feel that it's real. I know that sounds like, and I suppose it is really their acting, but really, it feels very authentic. That's the word, authentic, and the atmosphere is fantastic as it escalates. And I'm not going to lie to you either that this film does get scary and gory in places. Yes, it does. If a bit of gore is quite, it's there. You can see it, and it's just fascinating watching it unfold. I think it also does have a lot of important things to say. Really, I think that is the bit that really sort of strikes you is the effects of bullying, not just in the environment it's in, but also nowadays cyberbullying. So you've got these at a high school, the bullying going on there, but then you've got as what we see a reflection about cyberbullying as well, and these are all interesting issues, especially amongst teens and what have you. Very important to look at this, and done in the context of a horror film, I think is just smart. It's a smart move. It's a great idea, and I'm, I haven't really got anything in my collection like this. I have got some found footage, which you could say it's partly linked almost, but it's not a found footage, but it's like that in a sense, but not. If that makes sense. But anyhow, but I'm really chuffed I've got this film, and it does, making important observations about social media, which is an area we're all, especially nowadays, even more. We're looking at social media all the time about its effects on people. I think we're beginning to understand a lot more effects that social media can have for good and for bad. And what if you love horror films, you always love that other side, the way it can really send it in a very horrific direction, and that's what I like. And it proves to me that horror films, like a lot of good sci-fi films, can make a lot of observations about things. I mean, this is nothing new. Horror films have that history. Hey, we have woke horror films. That's what they'd be blooming saying, wouldn't they, nowadays? We're using that awful word all the time, every 5 minutes. But yeah, what I mean is that they can reflect about what's going on in society and can give you interesting ideas and messages, and as well as being entertaining. I mean, what? That's good, and it is entertaining. Maybe I'm making this film more important than it actually is, but just looking at it, and you can tell also by the amount of written about the film. If a film has been talked about and written about in a very interesting, positive way in many ways, there's not as much negativity, then I think that reflects and says a lot. There was a sequel as well, called Unfriended, and then dark web, because of course the dark web is an area that people have started to look at as well. That was from 2018, but this being the first one is always interesting to look at. I may try and have a look at the other one if we get around to it. I haven't really looked into it, but I've just been looking at this one as the original one. But yeah, I think it's well worth looking at, well worth getting. And the fact that I picked it up so cheap, it means it's obviously very cheap to get hold of. I mean, here it is. I'll always give you another look. There it is. I think the only downside about this film is that there's no extras. I wish there was extras. I'd love to know more about people talking about the film, the director and all that. I know he's a Russian dude, but yeah, hey lad, can they talk about the film, lad? Hey, back. And there we've got the disc, which is a nice disc, and we've got you can tell it's one older, where you got these digital things which are not way out of date, but I'd love to see more extras on a film. Maybe in the future it will happen, but for a quid, you could spend a lot of money on some films, and they just wouldn't even match this film. Yeah. So for me, it was a really good, unexpected journey out. That doesn't often happen to get this, and I thought, well, it's worth. It just looked interesting, and my instinct was right. Hey, back, a bit of instinct there, lad. Hey, so anyhow, that's it, really. I hope you've enjoyed my review, and it might interest you yourself. I mean, you can't go wrong for a pound, can you? Um, so if you're new to channel, and hey, please subscribe, because then we'll let you know when I produce videos, and you get all that. And free it is as well. As is, if you please give it a like, because then it helps with algorithms, and maybe more people find these and think, take a chance. I'll have a look at that, and they might do, and they might not enjoy it, or they might. I don't know, but it helps with algorithms. And if you've got any comments, please put those comments down. Yeah, be really grand, that would. Hey, it would. So all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again.